You've played the roles, met the expectations, and done everything right. So why does it feel like something's missing? Welcome to the Unwritten Woman, a space for the woman who knows she's more than the life she's been given. I'm Kristen, author of Unlocking Authenticity, a journey from people-pleasing to empowerment. And I know firsthand what it's like to break free from the mold and start rewriting your story. Here, we have real conversations about unlearning, unbecoming, and stepping into the fullness of who you are on your own terms. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's dive in. So on today's episode, you're going to notice specifically on our YouTube channel that there is no video recording for this episode. And that's intentional. The truth is that video recording is probably going to limit my ability to be as organic as possible. So with that being said, sit back, make sure you have your journal and you have your favorite drink, and let's dive in. So this particular episode is going to be a tough one for me, and not in a bad way, just very much bringing you behind the curtains to get a glimpse of my life and my lived experience. And I think it's really important because when I started this podcast, it was really important for me to not just talk about healing and self-discovery and this whole journey, but to actually walk it out with you. And so that means that I have to be willing to sit in some uncomfortable situations, and be completely honest and a little vulnerable and a little transparent, about some things that I probably have tucked away. Not probably, I definitely have tucked away and put in a box. So here we are. I have to come to the realization, and I have to be true to myself and say I can't fully try to empower anyone else if I'm still hiding in my own story or hiding from my own story. So if you've been listening, then you know that over the past few weeks, we've been slowly unlocking that box that so many of us carry or tuck away in the back of our closets, right? That carries our pain and our traumas and our unspoken fears. In episode 1, we talked about opening that box, acknowledging that we've stored it away instead of pretending that it doesn't exist. In episode 2, we started to actually name those trauma responses that often show up in our lives. Whatever your trauma responses are, we've talked about how we can identify those, right? And then in episode 3, we really talked about reframing our triggers and understanding that while triggers are real, they don't have to control us, and we can choose to respond or react differently. And now in this episode, we're going to sit down with my own trauma responses, that have really, put me on this journey, honestly, right? But have really just formed who I am and the things that I, as an individual and as a woman, am working through. And that's people pleasing. And I shared that with you in episode 2, that probably one of my biggest or most common trauma responses is people pleasing. I consider myself to be a recovering people pleaser. I'm proud to say that now. And the truth is that none of these things really just go away. We can't just take them and throw them out. It's an effort every day to make new decisions or to make choices that are different than what we are used to. And so here's my story. Let me just preface this by saying that my goal in sharing my experiences is not to expose anyone. It's not to blame anyone. It's not to point the finger or make excuses for my own behaviors as an adult. It's really to just peel back the layers a little bit and be honest and transparent about the things that I've experienced, in a way that I hope that you can connect with and can maybe even resonate with within your own life, right? Some of the things that maybe you have experienced or observed that have uh, just sort of formed who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly. So let's be real. From a young age, most of us are taught a very clear and maybe very unspoken message, which is be the good girl, be the nice girl, take care of others, don't make waves, be easy to love. And I guess for me, because I'll be honest, even though I think I used my voice to challenge certain ideas and certain decisions in my household growing up. I think I always ended up back in the same bubble of be the good girl, be the nice girl, take care of others, don't make waves, be easy to love. And I think part of it stems from being the eldest daughter. And you probably have heard of the idea of the eldest daughter syndrome, right? And it's not really like a clinically diagnosed thing, but it is a concept that surrounds the idea or the truth that eldest daughters, you have to be more responsible and you have to be more nurturing and you have to be more compassionate and you have to be more selfless, right, than probably the other kids. I'm a big sister to just one sister. I just have one younger sister, right? But there are several studies that kind of dive deep into how that affects or how that forms eldest daughters into who they are as they become adults. With that being said, we are trained to be nurturers and we're trained to take care of others and we're trained um, to sort of put other people's needs ahead of our own, right? And maybe I shouldn't speak for all women. I can't speak for all women. So I really can only speak for my own self. And what I can say is that as I'm sitting here and and I've been planning for this particular episode, I can recall specific instances of things that I observed or was told that take me back to the importance of taking care of others' needs. And it doesn't really matter how you feel about it, it's about doing what's right. And what's right is keeping other people happy. So I'll give some examples. And I think that's where I'm going to like pull back the curtains a little bit. I can remember a day that my maternal grandmother was ironing a linen shirt in the living room, and she calls me over and she says, "Hey, Kristen, come watch me, do this because you're gonna need to learn how to iron a shirt because no man's gonna marry you if you don't know how to iron a shirt." And in the moment, it was like, "Oh, I gotta know how to iron a man's shirt," you know? Okay, let me learn. Let me learn how to do that. Um, Now when I think of it, it's sort of like, well, wait a minute. So are you saying that if I don't know how to how to iron a shirt, that I don't deserve to be like loved, that I don't deserve to have a husband? And I don't think that was her intention, right? But it's just something that stuck with me. It's something that stuck with me. And today, if you ask me if I know how to iron a shirt, I'm gonna say I could figure it out. But I hate ironing. I hate ironing, but that's a discussion for another episode, I guess. Um, and then I think even more so, like, I remember my paternal grandmother who, I guess, let me back up a little bit. Yeah, I guess I have to back up a little bit. When I was young, my parents separated, and the day that my father moved out of the house, the day that my paternal grandmother moved into the house, and I it felt like normal, right? And I think she felt really I don't really know what she felt. I'm not going to even try to assume that I know what she felt or why it was so important to her. But what I will say is that over the course of several years of her living in the home with us, I constantly observed her putting everyone else's needs before her, right? She legitimately, like, she would be tired from working at the hospital and she'd be exhausted. Her feet would be hurting her and she'd be in the kitchen cooking, or she'd be ironing everyone's clothes for the week. Both of my grandmothers, in different ways, sacrificed so much for so many people for different reasons and in different ways. But what I could say about both of them is that I think they were perfect examples of sacrificing everything for other people. And I think that in watching both of them and also being an eldest child and living in a Caribbean Christian church going household with very traditional mindsets and views on life, I think that set the perfect stage for how I became a people pleaser. And what I don't want to do is to reject that foundation, right? Because at the end of the day, there were definitely some great things. I mean, I turned out pretty good. I turned out pretty good. So I'm not necessarily complaining or anything. But what I will say is that it was definitely the perfect recipe for why I became, or I can't even say became, but why I was formed into someone who just wanted to make everyone around me happy. And how that not only impacted my relationship with my family, but also my, relationship with friends and my relationship with, people that I was dating or in relationships with, or the man that I married, right? Like, I think that really set the stage for all of how my relationships have panned out. And I absolutely, I love both of my grandmothers. I miss them both dearly. Um, and I will say that I learned a lot from both of them. And I appreciate the sacrifices that both of them have made for the people that they love and care for. It's just that's the root, I could say, part of the root for where my people pleasing tendencies came from. I truly recognize the importance of caring for other people and being empathetic and being compassionate and, doing what you can to serve others, and especially doing what you can to support the people that you love, your family, your children, your siblings, right? And I honor that and I appreciate that and I value that. My conclusion, though, over the past few years that I have been on this self discovery journey and healing journey, has been nothing that you do should be at your own detriment, or that you should sacrifice your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your physical well being. And I think that's where we don't necessarily tend to be educated on having that balance between being a nurturer and caring for yourself, being compassionate while holding people accountable. That balance is not something that I learned. And the other thing, too, is like, I don't think I was ever really taught to be aware of who I am, outside of my, spiritual, rearing, and outside of going to school and going to church and, being a respectful young lady and all of those things. Like, I never was really taught how to like really figure out who is Kristen, what makes Kristen happy, what brings her joy, what does she like and not like, and does she have the room to explore and learn about herself, right? Um, that wasn't the case. And I don't know if I'm speaking for anyone else, but I can only speak for myself that that really kind of limited my ability to set boundaries, right? And boundaries is the one of several things that is missing when you are a people pleaser, right? Because you as a well, again, I can speak for myself. As a people pleaser, my intention is to keep people happy at all costs and to do the thing that I know is going to make my parents proud, or do the thing that is going to help me get that promotion at the job, or do the thing that everyone is going to be applauding because they're so proud of you. And for a long time I lived in that. I lived in doing the thing that kept everybody proud of Kristen. And it's not to say that I didn't want to. I want people to be proud of me, right? I think we all want people to be proud of us. But was I living in my truth? Was I doing the things that really were important to me? Did I get the chance to really be true to myself without guilt? Because I will say this, like I said earlier, I can't say that I didn't challenge decisions, and I didn't challenge, my mother. My mother will tell you right now, Kristen argued all the time. And I did, right? But it doesn't mean that I wasn't riddled with guilt of, you know, like, man, like now my mom's mad at me. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, there was still that guilt and that weight of like, man, I can never do right. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, I just want to, I want to be me, but I also want to be me. I want to be the version of me that I know I can be without feeling this guilt and weight of shame, or feeling like, man, I'm disappointing everybody. And so now I am, I'm in this internal battle between, do I do what I want to do and be happy, or do I keep everyone else happy? Because those two things can't coexist, right? And it weighs me down, and it stresses me out, and I feel emotional. I don't have any internal peace. And that's where, again, that lack of boundaries and that lack of self-awareness really is a recipe for disaster. So I guess the destructive part about being a people pleaser is that no one really notices, because as long as you're doing what you think keeps everyone happy, they don't realize that you're dealing with this internal turmoil of like, I'm actually miserable, right? Because I'm wearing a smile on my face. I don't want anyone to know that I'm miserable, because if they know that I'm miserable, or that I need something, or that I'm not okay, then that's going to leave them with negative feelings. And I don't want to do that, right? Like, I don't want to weigh anybody else down with the fact that I'm miserable, right? And so I'm going to keep a smile on my face. And so it's really dangerous. Besides that, it really costs you your voice, your peace, your identity, and honestly, it costs you your ability to trust yourself, because now you don't know what's real and what's not real. I don't know if anyone can relate, and maybe everything that I've just shared is just a me problem. And if that's the case, that's okay. But I do want to invite you to reflect. So I told you to get your journal ready. So I hope you have it. And I'm going to ask you 3 questions that I really want you to think about. And you don't have to share, but if you'd like to, you can share in the comments. But here are 3 questions. When did I first start believing that love was something I had to earn? In what ways do I still perform to be accepted? And what would it feel like to be loved without performing? And the reason why these 3 questions are so important is because as we dive deeper into people pleasing tendencies, we're going to really talk about the fact that really what we've been doing is performing, and the reason why we've been performing. And I'll tell you that for me, My reasons for performing have been tied to other issues. Besides just wanting to keep people happy, there's more to it, right? Because why is it important for me to keep everyone happy? Why is it important for everyone around me to be happy? Is it because I don't want them to leave me? Is it because I need attention? Is it because I'm afraid that if they're not happy, their behavior may be more than what I can handle? What is it? Why am I actually performing? And so these 3 questions are really going to help you get to the root of any people-pleasing tendencies that you may have. And we're going to talk more about this next week. So thank you for not judging me. We listen and we don't judge. And I'll see you next week. If today's episode spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Let's keep this conversation going. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if something in this episode made you think, feel, or reflect, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment, send me a DM, or even share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And who knows, your comment or question might just inspire a future episode. Because this space isn't just about me, it's about us rewriting our stories together. So let me know, what's on your mind? What part of your life feels unwritten? I can't wait to hear from you.